All right, guys, here we go. This is hitting different. I just been thinking about how am I 38 years old, and I'm thinking about all the lessons that I've learned being in my late 30s. And if I can sit down with my 29-year-old self before he turns 30, I would say this. Here's a few lessons that I would share that have shaped my life perspective and purpose. So whether you're in your 20s or 30s, I think this is super valuable for you, and I hope it speaks to you. Number one, find your foundation, not just your direction. When I was younger, I thought success was only about having a big vision, right? It's not just about direction, it's about the direction that you build foundationally. Like, what is your foundation? That's everything. And I was chasing all the wrong things back in the day, thinking all these things would make me happy. And at the end of the day, I realized that I was building someone else's dream, and I didn't want to do that. So it's not about where you're going, it's about what you're standing on. So think about foundation. When I was in my 20s, I forgot to ask myself, what am I doing? Like, do I really want to run and hustle? And the second thing I would say is health is wealth. It's super important that you understand that your health is everything, especially on different levels. Your physical health, the food you're eating, are you sleeping? You know, your body begins to get hit when you turn about 30 years old. So it's important that you think through, like, how are you stewarding your body? How are you stewarding your souls spiritually as well? So health isn't given its own. You got to prioritize your health and choose the right things, make the right decisions. So the number three is habits shape your life. I used to think success came with massive change, like making big changes. But if you do great habits in small ways, it makes big splashes, right? So don't level up by looking at the end goal. Focus on what you're doing today. If you want to get fit, start with 10 push-ups. You want to grow your business, make that one call. That one call is daily actions that build momentum. Number four, no one is coming to save you. I've learned that in so many different ways. You have to be a person of intention and of character and of discipline, and really accept that you are not going to be saved by no one. Like, everyone almost for itself. Even in the body of Christ, like, God has individually given you place to steward your own life. No one will go and sit before the throne of heaven besides you before God. So you'll have to give an account for your own life. In the same way, in this life, you have to take ownership of your life by giving it to the Lord, giving him ownership over your life and being led by him, and not trying to put it all in someone else's hands. So there's been a lot of missed opportunities and challenges in today. So don't wait for right times. The right time is right now. That's another thing I would say, is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is right now. So don't procrastinate. That was one of the other big things in my 20s, that I procrastinated a ton. And it's cool to build and fail, but learn quickly. That would be the next thing. I think we're on the fifth thing. Learn quickly. Every misstep teaches you something you didn't know before. Over the years, I had over a lot of people that visited me, pitching me all different opportunities on a business level, and I tried those endeavors and they failed. But even though those failures came, I brought lessons out of those failures, and it's helped me a ton. So I just want to encourage you guys that every single step that you have now is because of a setback that came yesterday, and keep building and learning from that. The next one will be, the people around you matter. They're either going to push you forward or they're going to hold you back. So surround yourself with people that inspire you, that keep you accountable. And I realized that a lot of relationships in my early years were draining me. The next one would be this. Comparison is wild. Like, everyone's living quote unquote their best life on social media, but you're only seeing their wins. You're not seeing their struggles. So you have to think through, what does it look like to run my own race? I love Hebrews. It says, keeping your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and the finisher of your faith. Like, God has given us a lane to run in, to look to Christ. If you compare yourself to anybody, compare yourself to Christ and grow in up to his standard. Also, life is about living with intention. This is another point. When I started my first social media team and leading, I realized that I learned quickly it's not about telling everybody what to do, but it's about listening and guiding people, showing up, being the best person you can be. And out of that, your leadership speaks louder than your words. The next thing I will say, you always have the power to pivot in life, which is cool. So don't get so caught up in your past from the standpoint where you feel like you're stuck somewhere. There's always opportunity, especially where we live nowadays, to make pivots, adjust, change your environments. And I think that's super important. It's never too late to rewrite your story and pursue the future that God has for you. So my next one, I think I'm on like 11 or so, but public speaking is a superpower. Communication confidently and clearly is probably the most powerful tool you can have. Jesus was a communicator. We all should be communicators. Public speaking is super important, right? And I just want to encourage you, what does it look like for you to continue to hone that skill of communicating boldly, confidently, but with humility, right? Being teachable, reachable. And the next thing, your environment shapes your success. Where you are every single day, your social, your mental, your physical. If you're surrounded by clutter, negativity, distractions, it's hard to focus on what matters. When I moved to Colombia, I changed not only my address, but I changed my environment, where I was around people who love family, who were devoted to family, who was devoted to faith. And also just the nature aspect of it gave me so much peace of mind, waking up every day seeing God's creation. So progress is important, no matter how small. That's another thing I share. You can always improve as you go, but you always have to remember that you can't fix what you don't start. So start today. The next thing I would say is say no, say no, say no. There's so many things that want our attention and our affection, and we have to say no completely guilt-free. In the 20s and even most of my 30s, I said yes, 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 yes. I was a yes man. But when I learned to say no, I wasn't stressed or stretched out too much. And it was a game changer. It changed my life, and it's changing my future now. Be curious is the next one. Be curious, but not judgmental. When you're open to learning from other people's experiences, and you're open to learning from their failures and their successes, it changes everything. Just be curious. Be curious about how others lead their lives, even if it's different than you. I think traveling is one of the key. It's a must in your life. You are able to see through a lens of a real time, a different perspective outside of what you're used to, outside of the box. The next one is embrace change, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it makes your life harder. Continue to adapt. Create resilient children as you continue to grow and become more resilient. When I moved into a new country, it was terrifying with my family, but it was by faith. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And I embraced that change, and it changed me. And the next one is, God is the architect of our life, but no one's responsible for us responding every single day and building and growing into who we're called to be, and seeing through the worldview. The Bible shows us to not only see through, but live through. So I just want to tell you guys, that's my next one. Rest is super productive, and taking time to have moments to yourself away from everybody else is important, even from your work. It's good to get away and really soak and think, what exactly are you doing that's effective and that's helpful and that's really pushing you forward in your calling. All of it is super important. So relationships are one of the greatest investments. This will be my next one. I think there's been ways where relationships have been more valuable than money ever can have. You never know when you might need the key to your next chapter in a relationship, and that connection may be through a person that you're just now meeting, and it's a game changer. The next thing I will say, confidence comes from action and showing up and doing actual work. It's not something you're born with right away, right? God even spoke to Joshua saying, have I not told you to go here and do this or say this, right? We're not born with that, but we have to hear and then use it and grow from it. So that's one thing. Gratitude also unlocks fulfillment. So when you appreciate what you already have, it's a game changer. And your whole mindset is just in growth mode whenever you allow yourself to see through When you see through the lens of God, I am thankful for you. I'm thankful for you most importantly. I'm thankful for the family, all the things you love, my family, my friends, my relationships. That is something super important. The next one I would say is listening. A lot of times we listen to respond, not to understand. But when you look to go deeper than the surface level and really get to know what someone else is saying versus what you want to say, it's a game changer. Your relationships and the results improve dramatically whenever you listen to understand. The next one, I would say, don't focus on the problems, focus on solutions. When you're facing challenges and you look at just the problem as the problem always, but without thinking solution wise, it changes everything. When you sit down and you think through working through each solution one by one, it will not only change the way you view that problem, but it will give you a pathway forward to make a big impact and change to come forth. So kindness is so cheap, but it goes the furthest in someone else. You don't know the lives you can change just by being kind with not only friends, but strangers. It's a reminder that small things actually matter when you're kind. And we have a million stories on that. I would say motivation is fleeting is the next thing, but discipline is what keeps you moving forward when motivation fades away. I mean, listen, there's mornings when I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like getting up. Motivation is gone. But I do it anyway because discipline is what I delight in, is doing the same thing over and over consistently every day so the outcome can be predictable, you know? Chasing money, do not chase money over purpose. Chase purpose, and profit could potentially chase you. Money is a resource that can help bring freedom to a certain extent, but it's not the freedom we're actually looking for. Money isn't what counts, but it's what you do with it what counts. And stewarding it well can not only be a blessing to you, but everyone around you. Okay, and stop overthinking. Clarity comes from action. I think it's super important to understand we don't need to perfect every single detail when we start something, like a business specifically, or a ministry, or a project that you want to jump into. It's always about taking action versus overthinking what things will happen, you know. The next one I would say is patience is a superpower. Good things do take time. In a world that rewards instant gratification, I think it's important to understand that when the process feels slow, you still got to trust the process. I call it delayed gratification when it's consistency over time, and it's super important to have that in heart and mind. The next thing I will say is your mindset shapes your reality. The way you believe in yourself, from the standpoint, do you actually believe you are who God says you are? Or do you think of yourself in a way that's very scarce to what the scripture actually talks about? You need to have an abundant mindset. It changes everything when you understand that your opportunities are vast. It's not about your competition, it's about your opportunity every single day. The next one I would say, learn something new every day. The moment you stop learning is the moment you stop growing. You know, I committed to reading 15 minutes a day, reading the Bible, and sometime it would be 30, an hour. It was just important that I got to and lock in that 15 minutes a day. Then it opens up so many doors from that standpoint. And then I also had to learn this: forgive, but don't forget. Holding on to grudges only weighs you down. But that doesn't mean that you have to forget the lesson within that circumstance or what you went through, but let the experience, you know, help give you wisdom on that next step. When you let things go, it lifts weights off of you so you can be free and full to operate as the person you're called to be. The next one I would say, invest in relationships, not just resources. Some of the best connections in life come from the relationships you build. Some of the best opportunity come from the relationship built. So people forget what you say, but they remember how you made them feel. And that's so true. And that advice stuck with me for many years. And it really is important how I approach every relationship in life. So the next one, chase purpose and not popularity. Popularity, it fades, but purpose will last eternally, internally for eternity, right? So the ultimate goal is that we continue to do that which we're called to do. There's specific things that we're called here to do to make an impact, and that's going to be the greatest fulfilling thing for your life. The last thing is laugh, laugh, laugh. Find ways to really find joy in every single moment throughout the day, even when it's hard, right? Choose joy. That's a decision you have to make every single day. This is a reminder that perspective is just everything, guys. And the next one, I would say, trust your gut. Sometimes it's the conviction or the voice of God, but I would just say, if something doesn't feel right, or it doesn't feel right at all, if it doesn't feel right, or it may feel perfect, make that decision from deep within. Some people call it intuition, but I say the voice of God, for me, since I have the Holy Spirit, will give you clarity. The next thing I would say is focus on adding value. Whenever you focus on bringing value and what you can give, it changes everything. It's not about what you can get. My only goal in life right now, and my family's goal in life, is to help other people. And it's important for us every single day that we're showing up and we're serving. We're living a life that serves. Jesus was so good at this. The next one would be the hardest days teaches the most. The toughest days are often the biggest teachers, so don't run from your struggle. In the moments where I hit rock bottom, when I was in my 19, 20, 20s, and even in my 30s, it was through those challenges that gave me the tools that I needed to continue to endure and to continue to grow in who I'm called to be. The next one I would say is take care of your mental health. Me being a man of God who has struggled with depression, and I've been through different seasons of life where I needed care, but I didn't look for it. Therefore, I was bare bones, wanted to take my life. By the end of the day, in the 30s, I learned the power of saying no to protect my mental space and also ask for help. And that's what I want you to know, is that you should definitely move forward in that. The path of least resistance is not always the best. Sometimes the perfect paved path isn't the path you want to go. Become a trailblazer. Sometimes you need to be open to other opportunities that don't seem perfect. Like, I perfectly want to stay here in the United States, in Oklahoma, and be at peace and just relax and chill and go through my day-to-day Christian life, but I really don't want to. I really don't want to get so caught up in comfort that I lose sight of calling that God has for me in my family life that's a little bit more difficult. So guys, another thing I would say, really take in mind before you marry, find someone that you can build upon the foundation of the vision God's given to you. So marry right. You have to marry the right partner, right? She should be your best friend. You should celebrate your wins together. You should consistently, encourage each other, challenge each other. Their success is your success, and your success is their success. Those are some of the lessons that I would just encourage. And how can two walk together unless they agree? When you go to marry someone, especially if you're a Christian, you want to be equally yoked. You want to be super intentional about finding someone that the Lord is leading you to, because they love Jesus and you love Jesus. In that, you can't fail. That marriage won't fail because it's built upon a solid foundation. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you here in the next video. Hit that like video. We'll see you soon. Peace.